is going on, y'all? It's been a while since I've made any kind of long form kind of content. I've been really focusing on the short form stuff and it's been going well, but I feel like I've been running into a small issue when I'm trying to talk to barbers or just entrepreneurs through TikTok and Instagram. And I can't grasp your attention span in such a short amount of time. So with that being said, we're going back to some long form stuff. I'm going to start, this is my fault. I have not been consistent enough with long form for it to become part of my workflow. Therefore, every time I start it, I end up stopping it because I have no structure. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to shoot very, very low for the beginning. I'm going to try to do 2 long form YouTube videos explaining topics that honestly I see from you guys in the comment section of my TikTok and my Instagram. I'm going to pick things that I feel like are heavily talked about, and we're going to just sit here and just discuss them. Now, before I get started, if you've never been here before, you've never heard me speak, I don't know everything. I definitely don't know everything. Let's start back even further than that. I've been cutting hair professionally since February of 2011. So I've been cutting hair before that, but I got my license in February of 2011. Back then I was in California. That's where I originally got my barber's license, and I worked at shops all the way up until about 2016. I opened up my first little small, 3-chair shop in California. And then in 2019, end of 2019, my wife and I moved out to Nashville, Tennessee, and I've been here ever since. My current barbershop is called Culture Nashville. I opened that up in 2021. Sounds weird, 2021. I opened that up in 21, and that was just me by myself. Single private studio, just solo dolo. And then that's where I grew the brand. For 2.5 years, I grew the brand Culture Nashville, or Cult Nash for short. I grew the actual brand itself, like visibility. I grew a product line, a clothing line. And then from there, I opened up a full-blown, full-scale barbershop in 23. Started off as 5 chairs. We are now at 8 chairs. Then I have a separate location right next door. And we're working on location 3. Technically 2.5, whatever you want to call it. So those are a little bit more of like my credentials, I guess, if you will. But all of that to say, I don't know everything. I definitely don't know everything. I learn shit every single day, just like you learn shit every single day. It doesn't matter. I've been in the industry for, like I said, professionally for over 15 years, and I learn shit from beginner barbers still. Like, I'm very open-minded. I know that there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? If you will. Weird saying, but there's definitely more than one way to do things. So when I speak about things, I'm speaking about things purely based off of my experience. So if you find yourself on my videos and you're like, yo, I don't agree with this, whatever this guy's saying, this guy's a bunch of bullshit, this is a bunch of nonsense, that's fine. You and I are allowed to disagree and have different opinions on different topics because you have an experience, I have an experience. You have an opinion that is formed from that experience. I also have an opinion that's formed from my experience. Just because they're 2 different opinions does not mean that they're wrong. That just means that's your experience and this is my experience. That's it. So whenever I try to teach, and I use that word very loosely because I don't think that I teach, but whenever I'm talking about a topic or a subject, the only angle that I can ever come at it from is from my personal experiences, because that's all I know. And I know that really good because I personally went through them. So whether that be getting out of barber school, what's the next step, or how do I go from being in a barbershop to owning my own private suite? Or how do I go from my own private suite to opening up a full-scale barbershop? All of those are different directions that you can go in. And every direction that I just said, I've gone through all of those, but I've just done them the way that I did them. And again, just because I went through it and I'm here where I am now today does not mean that I did it the right way. So a lot of my teachings, a lot of the things I talk about are not necessarily like, oh, I know X, Y, and Z about, I'm the expert in this. No. It's more like, hey, I fucked up so much along the way. If I would have done X, Y, and Z instead of X, Y, and Z, I would have been so much further, so much quicker. So the things I talk about are more so coming from an angle of like, don't make the same mistakes that I made. Like, some mistakes are good to make because you learn a really, really good, hard lesson that way. But there's just things that you can just easily skip over, and you could be so much further than I am right now. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, sorry, very long-winded. You will see that once I start talking, I am a talker. So as do we all, I was just scrolling. I always scroll and just kind of try to get ideas, and I kind of feel for like what's going on right now in the world and with the industry. And right now, I'm seeing a ton of barber prices and barber debates with pricing. This started with the video. I'm sure you've seen it. It's a lady speaking about back to school haircuts and her teenagers, how she's saying that teenage haircuts should not be the same price as full-grown adult haircuts. If you want to hear my take on that, just go on my social media. Go on TikTok, Instagram. I broke it down. I have a lot more to say about that, but it is what it is. But the bigger thing that I want to unpack here is I don't think that barbers understand just how complex like the barber pricing debate thing goes. But not only that, but like how do you describe or how do you break down why your prices are your prices to somebody that's trying to be a future client of yours? The bottom line is there is a price point for every single barber. There's a price point for every single client. As a barber, you have to decide what kind of barber you are going to be. And whichever one you pick is the right one. That's the right one for you. Just because you pick one does not mean that you're not doing the right thing. Just because you pick the other one doesn't mean that you're doing the wrong thing. Whatever. Let me give you an example. I have evolved in my career. I started off charging $5 for haircuts back, way back in the day. Fast forward to today, I charge $65 as my base rate for a haircut, $85 for base rate for cut and beard trim. Now, some of you would hear 65 and 85 and be like, wow, that's ridiculous. That's way too expensive. But if it was too expensive, then I wouldn't have any clientele. And that's not the case. And this is not me bragging by any means. It's just giving you some credibility. I'm booked out for weeks on end, charging 65 and 85. I charge $100 for a new client and $125 for a new client hair and beard. That is simply because I do not have the time anymore to take on new clients. My current clientele that has been rocking with me for years, they are having a hard time getting in. So I have to kind of put up not a roadblock, but there needs to be a real incentive for me to bring in a new person into my schedule. But this didn't happen on accident. This wasn't an overnight thing. I didn't get out of barber school and go right to these prices. I have worked my way up there through multiple different angles of skill developing. So the type of barber that I am is quality over quantity, right? Not saying that if you are the barber that does quantity over quality, that your quality is shit. I'm sure you can do really, really good haircuts. We can all do haircuts really quickly. Through my years of being a different type of barber and working in different types of barbershops, I have learned that no matter how much people say that people are struggling, oh man, people are struggling right now, things are expensive, everyone's struggling. Right now, not everyone is struggling. Right now, people are struggling. There 100% are, there's a good chunk of people that are struggling, but there are people that are not struggling. Back when I was charging $5 a haircut, $10 a haircut, the name of the game was speed. I didn't care about relationship building. I didn't care about the person in my chair. It was more about caring about the next person in the waiting room. I constantly was caring about who's next, who can I get next? And the name of the game was speed. But as I started to develop my skill set, I started realizing that I'm really good at building relationships with people and diagnosing problems and fixing problems based off the diagnosis. I started to realize that I was much more than a speed barber. And I tested this theory. If I raise my prices, if I do a big price jump, but in return of that big price jump, I open my schedule up a little bit, open my services a little bit, to where now I'm not doing 15-minute haircuts anymore. Maybe now I'm doing 40-minute haircuts. But my haircut itself is more expensive. But with that more expensive haircut comes attention to detail. It comes with consistency. It comes with just taking my time. Clients can feel when you are taking your time, and clients can feel when you rush. That is the biggest thing. Clients can feel when you are rushing them out the chair. And if you are rushing someone out of the chair that doesn't want to be rushed out of the chair, you are not going to lock that client in. So I started to kind of, play around with my schedule and kind of, fine tune things. And what was crazy was I actually lost a lot of clients, not because of my haircut price, but because of the duration. They didn't want to sit in the chair for that long. They wanted the 15-minute haircut. But the other thing that was crazy, I actually gained a bunch of clientele because of the fact that my haircut duration time was longer. So what I'm getting at here, when it comes to clientele, when it comes to the public, there's not one size fits all. When you go and you scroll on social media, people say, oh, people don't want to sit in a chair for an hour. No one wants to sit in a chair for an hour. And it's like, no. Some people don't want to sit in a chair for an hour. Some people only want to sit in the chair for 1 hour. It's your job to kind of figure out who is who. It's your job to figure out, are you the barber that wants to do 15-minute haircuts or 1 hour haircuts? Because those two different barbers are going to come with two completely different types of clientele. So look, at the end of the day, circling back, there's more than one way to skin a cat here. There's more than one way to do something. Find your lane, pick which direction you're going in, and go all in. Because again, there is a set of clientele for every single way of doing business. So again, today we're just going to keep this short and sweet. I just want to get kind of back into the groove of things and get rolling. Didn't really have a specific topic that I had on today. It was just more of today was more of my diary, honestly. Just giving y'all a little bit of an insight of what's on my mind right now. And you'll see what's on my mind right now. It's kind of all over the place. It jumps around. But as we continue to go through these, I will continue to get smoother, better. We're gonna be more locked in on specific topics, and I want to get to these specific topics by you guys reaching out. DM, comment on this video down below, just a question that you have or something you're struggling with or something that you see on social media that you're like, what the fuck? Why are people doing this? Anything in general. And let's just start to build this community, because my community on TikTok and Instagram, it's cool. It's great. It's fantastic. We're almost at 90,000 people across both platforms, which is insane. It's kind of, yeah, it's crazy. I feel like, yeah, I don't know, super weird, but I want to get like more detailed into like what you guys need. Business side stuff. We're talking day-to-day stuff, anything, even just like, how do I get started? Shit like that. Please leave comments down below, and let's just start building this up. At the end of the day, if each of us starts to level up a little bit more as a barber in the industry as a whole levels up, which continues to make you level up, and it's just a continuous cycle of just success. So until next time, y'all.